Hello everybody, and thank you so much for joining me on today's webinar. Today we're going to be reviewing sales personalities. So we're going to be discussing how to tailor your appointments to the individual clients that you're sitting down with. As usual, we like to pack a lot of information to a fairly small time, but please, if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask them in the chat box and I'll get to them by the end of today's presentation. So, what is our agenda? Well, here it is. First, we're gonna touch on why you should be offering a different approach and how to determine which approach to take. Then we'll take a quick review of some different personality types and what they're typically like. Then we'll go over the 5 different types of salespeople, and then finally we'll wrap it up with a few sales approaches to coach towards. And again, if you have questions, please feel free to type them into the chat box and I'll get to those at the end. Alrighty, so let's get started. So what is a sales approach? Essentially, it's how you interact with your client. It's both verbal and non-verbal communication that you share. It's reading the person and reading the room surrounding you. A good agent might have their one good pitch that works 60% of the time, but a great agent has multiple pitches designed for different personalities to win their client over, let's say, 80% of the time. Basically, if you take the same approach with every person, you either aren't going to be successful or you're going to be not as successful. If you take away one point from today's session, it's that you need to be able to adapt your approach to cater to the person across the table from you. So let's review on the 4 basic personality types. In the early 1960s, 2 industrial psychologists, David Merrill and Roger Reed, wanted to understand whether they could predict managerial leadership and sales performance. To do this, they explored how people behave in social situations. They chose not to concern themselves with why. In their studies, they found out that there are 4 quadrants to society: analytical, driving, expressive, and amiable. There are also levels of responsiveness and assertiveness to each of these personality types as well, but more on that later. Let's go a little bit deeper to understand each of these types of people and how their personalities can work towards you getting the sale. According to Merrill and Reed, the analytical style of interaction asserts itself by asking rather than telling. It is also characterized by a high level of emotional control. It values facts, logic, accuracy, presenting a disciplined and unemotional, some would say cold, face to the world. In sales, you would approach this type of person with something tangible and rational: numbers, facts, figures, etc. They want as much information so they can make the best logical decision. If we break this down into the Medicare market, well, for Medicare Advantage product, this person wants all the details on the network, the benefits, and cost sharing. For Medicare supplements, you'll want to be prepared all the answers and questions about rate history, AM Best ratings, and how long the companies has been around for. In order to close this person, you need to know the facts and relay that information in a logical and precise manner. The driving style is the typical task-oriented behavior that prefers to tell rather than ask and shows little concern for feelings. It cares more about the results. This is a fast-paced style keen on making decisions, taking power, and exerting control. The driver will make their decision quickly, independent of what their friends are going to do, and they will not look back. What this means for your sale is that you won't need to make repeat visits. Very little will change their mind once that decision has been made. This may also result in less likelihood of plan changes in the following year. For a driver, you're looking to tell them to tell you what they want so that you can provide the coverage that suits their needs. You will need to be confident, candid, and efficient to make this sale. The expressive style is also assertive, but they use feelings to achieve their objectives. That behavior is highly spontaneous and demands recognition and approval, and favors gut instinct on decision making. When selling an expressive person, the hardest part might be just keeping them on track. You don't want to offer a lot of options because they can have them wander and second guess themselves. I often tell my agents to do their homework before appointments. This means before you visit face-to-face, you want to gather pre-appointment information. You want to find out what doctors they're visiting, as well as their prescription drug plans or what the drugs that they're taking. You want to come prepared to show them one Medicare Advantage plan and one Medicare supplement. Be sure that you know the ancillary benefits and sell them on past sales and customer service win stories. Personal anecdotes and first-hand accounts can go a lot farther with this person than charts, graphs, and statistics. So be brief, be enthusiastic, and keep your presentation uplifting or you're going to lose their attention. The amiable personality is the last personality type that we'll be reviewing today. This style expresses concern for people above all else, keen to share emotion and not to assert themselves over others. Building and maintaining relationships dominate their behavior. These concerns manifest as slow, deliberate pace, coming across as sensitive, supportive, and dependable. This is the type of person that likes to go along with the group's decisions and recommendations. As always, you need to be confident, but you also need to have your client feel like they're being taken care of. With an amiable personality type, you may have to go back for repeat visits to ensure that the client has made the right decision. Again, this is one you're really going to have to do your homework for. Make sure you have a plan in mind for the person that wants to use their plan to the fullest potential. A great thing about this personality is that they may take longer to convince and enroll, but they can often be your biggest champions as well. These are the type of people that will stick to you, use you as a resource, and often send referrals your way. So that wraps up the 4 personality types. So let's take a look at the 5 sales personality types. Like your customers, you and your fellow insurance agents also have unique personalities and tactics when it comes to selling. Here we have 5 different types of sales approaches that you can start utilizing on your very next appointment. In the next few slides, we'll be talking about these methods: the instant buddy, the guru, the consultant, the networker, and the hard seller. So let's go in a little bit deeper on each of these. The instant buddy. People feel better about buying from someone that they like. Salespeople who use the buddy approach are warm and friendly. They ask questions and show interest in the prospects. They try to connect on an emotional level with each prospective customer. This approach can be very effective, but really only in the right hands. Usually salespeople who are naturally nice, warm-hearted, and love making new friends thrive in here. But don't try this approach with prospects unless you really mean it. People can tell that you're faking it and they'll be very unhappy with you. You also need to do some follow-through to demonstrate that you do like and you care about this prospect. For example, if you chat about the prospect's 11-month-old baby during your first appointment, you should also follow up by sending a card or a small gift on that child's birthday. Or other things to consider are like anniversary dates or other types of family members that, if you discuss that, you want to kind of keep that coming up in your forward conversations with them. The guru. Salespeople who prefer a more logical and less emotional approach set themselves on the task of becoming experts in anything and everything related to their industry. They position themselves as problem solvers, able to answer any question and tackle any issue that the prospect lays before them. The guru approach requires plenty of work with learning all the relevant information and keeping up with the changes in your industry. But if you're willing to put in the time it takes, you can do very well in both selling your prospects and generating plenty of referrals. Once customers realize what a great resource you are, they're quite likely to send friends and coworkers with questions straight to you. Consultant. This approach combines guru and buddy approaches, but not really to either of those extremes. This salesperson who really elects the consultant approach presents themselves as an expert who has the customer's best interest in mind. They know all about their companies, they know all about their products, and they ask their prospects all the key important questions so they can really match them with the best product for their needs. As an approach that combines the best qualities of the first 2 methods, it's extremely effective. But it also requires a great deal of time and effort on your part as well. You have to be both knowledgeable and be able to have that emotional connection with your prospects. And if you can manage both of these feats, your sales are certainly going to be taking off. Networker. Networking can be a huge help for any salesperson. The dedicated networker takes it to the next level, setting up and maintaining a web of friends, coworkers, salespeople, whether it's from other companies, customers, former customer, and anyone else that you really sit down and meet with. A strong enough network will create an ongoing flow of warm leads that provide most, if not all, of a salesperson's leads. With this approach, you'll spend a great deal of time cultivating people. It's a highly effective technique for salespeople who enjoy attending various events like parties or going to consumer events or expos. Just remember that you're going to need to be able to respond by doing favors and sending leads back to the people that have helped you in turn. It's a really good way to get out there to your local community and assert yourself as one of the forefront experts in being able to generate the ongoing leads for yourself. Now, the hard seller. You don't really want to be a hard seller. Typically in the business, they're described as scaring the prospect into buying. The hard sell approach is what gives salespeople a bad reputation. Hard selling involves getting someone to buy a product even though they don't want or need it. Methods can range from bullying, as in buy this now or you're going to feel stupid tomorrow, to manipulation, as in if you don't buy me, I'll lose my job, to outright deception, which is basically this product is saying to your client, this product is a much better safety record than the competition, even though that's blatantly false. No ethical salesperson should try the hard sale. Sadly, there's still salespeople who use this type of strategy, even though the result in the customer who never buys, sooner or later, has a bad reputation for the company as a whole. Stick with one of the first 4 approaches. They are both effective and ethical. But also, as far as hard selling goes, you want to make sure that your client knows that you're confident and comfortable with the products that you're able to sell them. So not all the things that a hard seller does. If you want your client to make quick, effective decision making, help them out with that, but don't sell them on something that's not going to be for them in the end of the day. So once you quickly identify your client's personality type, you can adjust your sales personality slightly and choose your approach. Now, the reason I say adjust your sales personality slightly is because you can't just go against who you are. You're not going to try to change your entire personality. Your client's going to see through that. It's going to look forced. But you really want to find a way that you can approach each of these types and meet them in the middle. You really want to do your background and your own due diligence of understanding the products to understand that you need to be a guru or you need to be a consultant or, you want to work harder to be someone's best friend. You're not going to be able to do all those things at once, but you can try your best to adapt to present your client as if you were one of those options. For instance, when you're talking to an analytical person, if you're instant friend sales, you're probably not going to be closing. When you're talking to an analytical person, you're really going to want to come off as more of a guru type and say, here's why the benefits are so good, as opposed to, hey, I want to be your best friend and sell you this product. Those two just kind of clash with each other. So you want to be thoughtful and prepared when you're sitting down across the table from any of your current clients. Think about their personality types and the different types of sales approaches that could be complementary. Soft sell versus the hard sell. This is something that I want to tie back into the personality type. If you choose the hard sell technique with an amiable person, they're going to dismiss you in what you have to say. However, if you have a soft sell approach, that's going to be more likely to end in a sale because you're actually allowing that person to have space to consult their advisors or their friend group, or really be able to ask the questions that they need answered. Because if you're just trying to say you need to be in this product, that's not a personality type that would adjust to that. So they're much more likely to lose you as an agent rather than buy into what you're able to offer. Remember, the benefit to selling the amiable person is that they present a higher likelihood of referrals because they have a lot of friends and they want to do their own due diligence in understanding the products themselves. Consultative selling. This is how you sell the analytical and emotive person. You'll be using the consultative technique, but with different material. Remember, the analytical will want the answers to their questions to be factual and numerical, where the emotive person is swayed more by gut reaction and doesn't want to get bogged down by too many details. This approach is going to require a lot of open-ended questions. So here's where I refer you to our other webinars where we could also be able to show you more about the different selling and open-ended techniques that we've done in the past. Solution selling. This is the only way to really close the driver emo. You want to be able to identify the problems that they have and provide the solution logically, but also in the best way for them. As long as you ask the right questions to uncover their underlying objections or the problems that the driver has, your solution, as long as you can identify and pinpoint every one of those problems and solve them, that's going to be the only option to be able to sell this person. You can't be wishy-washy. You can't have an indirect answer. You want to have them identify the answer that they're asking for you immediately. So in closing, and to wrap up today, there's no two people that are going to be the same, and there's no two types of sales personalities that are going to be the same. Everything's going to have an ebb and a flow towards it. Everything is going to be very, you have to be able to adapt and strategize. You got to be able to do your homework. When you're calling leads or when you're calling people for the first time to set up that first appointment, you really want to get a feel for what they are like and what they're going to be looking for. And some of the best ways to do that is to just simply ask some pointed questions. Ask what they're looking for in insurance coverage. What type of have they looked into any options so far? Medicare Advantage, Medicare supplements, and what are some must-haves that they would also want as well. So keep that in mind. There's no two approaches that are going to be the exact same, but some approaches work better for certain personality types. And I'm looking to see if there's any questions here at the end. I don't see any, but all of my contact information is on here. If you do have a direct question, please feel free to go ahead and direct that straight to me. And if appropriate, I will be able to answer, or I can show you and give you the contact details for any of your sales managers that you would be assigned to. If there's anything that I can do to help out, please feel free to let me know. But thanks so much for your time today. Have a great one. Muted.
Muted, okay.
End call?
End call.
End call.
End
Call ended.
And then pull up the WebEx window.
This one?
Yeah, stop sharing. And then you're gonna go to File and Leave Event.
Leave it.
And I will end it. We had like 11 people toward the